How should you play the War Within? Focus on a main, or play a bunch of alts? Play a ton of specs on one main, or play the same spec? Let's see what Marcellian has to say about the decisions that we have coming up in the War Within.
Focus on the main or just play a ton of specs is a question as old as Azeroth and has plagued the WoW player for years. Grind gear, reputation and power on your main character, or let loose and enjoy all sorts of specs and classes the game has to offer. There are pros and cons for both, and with the War Within and the Warband feature being just around the corner, your decision might become easier to make. Why should you care about what I have to say? Well, we are certified altaholics that like to mythic raid and still progress on one character as much as possible.
A lot of people love to play alts, and it really does feel like a different game when you play another class or spec at times. So it is fun to do, but I'll be honest, guys, I only play one spec. One class, one spec, you guys know. I'm Samiccus in Samiccus's eyes, I say. My blood decay, that's it. He's the only character I play. And that's how I'm going to continue to play the War Within. I don't know, it's just, I enjoy making progression constantly in the same character, but I understand people who like to play alts. You live in the same city as Marcellian? No way, I don't even know where he lives.
So really, we are the perfect people to talk about this topic with. But
One
what
DK to
is
rule them
this
all, that's
topic? Why do people ask this question in WoW? I believe people secretly feel obligated to play one character because they see that as a semi-responsibility towards themselves, their friends, their guilds, their subscription. Playing one character in WoW assures you go through all of the story, get all of the gear, help your friends clear the toughest of content, and essentially get your money's worth by consuming all of the content before the next patch launches.
That's true, unless you're a full-on degenerate. I know a lot of people who have alts that have freaking, surpassed my main because they played them so much, and they have so much game time in the game. So, yeah, I guess it depends on how much time you have in the game. Right now, I'm married with 3 kids, fourth on the way. I mean, I don't have all the time in the world to play the game. So what I do, I'm playing one tune.
Feeling of missing out if you don't dedicate to a character or holding your group back is a fair feeling. The missing out part is kind of why you are paying for the game. If a new patch comes out with new achievements, mounts and transmogs to collect, reputations to farm, it's all the harder to acquire if you just swap to a new character and start from zero. And I would know, I have 0 achievements and reputations farmed in Dragonflight. As for your buddies,
yeah, I don't farm
guild, they
reps.
rely on you to get your character as strong as possible, to get you as good as possible on that character so that you can clear the raid or finish enough keys for your weekly vault. If you always swap your main or simply default to playing your alt, you'll get left behind. So why do you even entertain the idea of playing an alt? Fun! What else? You enjoy the game. You want to engage with it in multiple specs, multiple classes. Maybe you are attached to
I
your
totally
alt
agree
and
with this.
want all of them to have the...
I think some people forget at the end of the day that this is a game, and it's all about having fun. So yeah, if you enjoy playing alts, play alts. You don't gotta gear out or get max level on everything. And if you enjoy just playing one class, like that's your treat right now, you feel like that class just speaks to you, then play the one class. No pressure on alts. By the way Blizzard set up warbands, it's actually really smart. There really is no incentive or anything to play alts. There isn't. And there's no de-incentivization of alts either. It's really just, hey, you play, you get everything across your account, or you play one and you get everything on your one. It doesn't matter.
The transmogs, the gear.
And honestly, I think that's the main reason why they didn't make crests cross, you can trade crests across characters. If they wanted to do that, they'd really have to limit the amount of crests you can get across your entire account. They would have to connect all of that. So that's why right now crests are still not something that's warband bound.
Or do dungeons with. But is it then a question about have to do versus want to do? Responsibility versus fun?
There it is, babies.
Who wants responsibility in a video game anyway? And can you not have fun by playing only your main? Well, to answer this question, we stream WoW and talk with you guys all the time on twitch.tv/MarcellianOnline. Every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, starting at 1 a.m. Pacific and 10 a.m. CET. Yeah, I know North America. We will have better hours for you guys in the future. But if you do manage to catch us live, we do dungeons and raids with viewers, test upcoming WoW content, and talk about mains and alts every goddamn stream, to my dismay. So head on over to twitch.tv/MarcellianOnline and tell us if you are a main Andy or an altaholic like us. Where were we? Yes, having fun on mains versus alts. First of all, fun is subjective, so I will assume you enjoy both,
Right.
hence why the question is hard to answer. Otherwise, you would have made a decision already. So let's talk about why you should focus on a main first. There are a few undeniable objective benefits that you can get out of playing a single character. The main one will always be experience and skills. Always playing the same character will just inevitably make you better at it, especially in the modern day of World of Warcraft.
That's true.
With
I
how
mean,
many reworks and talent changes happen.
I will say, if I stop playing a character for a little while, I get rusty as shit on him. But when I'm constantly playing the same character, I don't know if it's because of my age or what, but it becomes second nature to me. Like, I can play my Blood DK blind right now. I've been playing for like 3 expansions. So it's pretty easy at that point. But whenever I switch to an alt that I haven't played in a long time, oh man, it's like putting training wheels back on a bike.
To a bunch of specs in the game, keeping up with all of them is definitely challenging. As an example, my last main that I played, Arms Warrior, has changed and had to change some habits myself that I developed over the years when it comes to my rotation at the very least. For instance, it used to be that I use Rend to apply Rend, but with the Blood and Thunder talent, that changed to Thunderclap. Not only that, applying Rend in AoE was kind of a neither here nor there thing in the past, since you had to tap target and apply Rend individually or through sweeping strikes, which Thunderclap once again replaced. On top of that, in single target, during an execute phase of a raid boss, execute used to be the bee's knees. But now, after I execute twice, I want to really use a Mortal Strike since that hits way harder. And with the rework and hero talents coming to War Within, a lot more stuff will change. Like the biggest thing Arms Warriors will have to do is to learn how to play Fury, since Arms is dead. I kid. It's not really.
I never switch up based on what spec is viable, what spec is best. I'm not I don't know, what would you call a meta chasing Andy? I just play whatever I feel like playing, and like I said, Blood DK is what I play. Whether it's the best tank or the worst tank, I just play it. Yeah, just get good, guys. Honestly, no spec is ever truly unviable. Like, you can't play it. It's never been that bad. I'm sure some people are going to come up with examples from the past, but mostly, if you play a spec you like and you get good at it, you could probably still play. You could do everything. You could still be viable in raids and everything else. Yeah, Sam, only you only know how to play one spec. Yeah, because that's how I choose to play the game. Yeah.
Dead.
I could learn more, okay? I just enjoy playing tanking as a Blood DK.
We cannot visit. Jokes aside, Arms will change, and as it stands, you won't have Whirlwind anymore, but we'll have Ravager, plus whatever else gets changed or reworked as the expansion releases. With that being said, if you want to always make sure you are at your best and pushing the content or helping your buddies as much as possible, focusing on a main is a must, and the level of skill you get cannot be attained by simply playing multiple specs and characters. A more obscure benefit that people don't talk about but 100% are enjoying is the comfort of not having to learn new specs to play. All that hassle with re-gearing a whole new class, learning its talents and rotation, sucking on it for a while before you get the hang of it, all of that is essentially gone.
I will say one benefit to playing other classes is you do learn a lot about the game. I mean, especially, like, say you're a PvPer, you learn everybody's, rotations, their cooldowns, how things work, what the character's abilities are, and different things like that. Like, for me the other day, I mean, I was asking you guys, I was like, which one can Dispel again of these three? Like, if I played them, I would know that for sure. Or who can Lust, these kinds of things. So definitely playing multiple classes and specs and a lot of alts does generalize your knowledge of the game more. But I still play one.
And dedication to one spec will make a lot of things more comfortable. Firstly, regarding the spec itself, but also the content that you do. The more you play something, the more your brain starts to build muscle memory, making it easier for you to do mechanics and take on group responsibilities. I know, I just said the R word again, but that's how you get to have people that want to do content with you. So it's a skill you want, especially if you don't play a meta spec. We will have a video on that as well. I bet you have been in a group at one point during your WoW career where you met that guy. You know the guy that everyone says is the Frost Mage guy or the Feral Druid guy. The guy that despite him playing an unpopular spec, he just owns, man.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's those guys out there, there's those people that no matter what, like, oh, you'll say, yeah, like this, Frost Mage sucks right now. But that Frost Mage Andy over there, he's going to pump no matter what Blizzard does to his numbers.
Always
It's
beats you
kind
on
of
the
epic when
meters
that
and makes you
happens.
rethink your main choice. That guy is focused on a main, and that guy or gal can be you. When it comes to alts, it wouldn't be fair to not mention this now after we just talked about being skilled on one character. It is true that focusing on only one spec will net you the kind of expertise that playing multiple characters will not. But that is also true the other way around. Playing multiple specs and actually trying to be good at them will make you an incredibly versatile player.
Yeah, and
The
knowledgeable.
brain expands whenever you teach it new things and gets to be more skilled at doing brainy things. Being able to play melee and range DPS can give you a more acute perspective on dealing damage in multiple ways.
He's totally right, and he's talking a lot about PvE right now, but really the best PvP players in the world, they played like every class in spec. They know everything about the certain classes' interrupts, how they can disengage from battle, all these different things, and how their cooldowns line up. Like they know what you're doing just on the visuals from the character because they played so many different specs and stuff. So yeah, definitely broadens your knowledge base to play alts.
Things you complain about
learn
and
a lot
took for
about the
granted as a melee player can surprise you as a ranged one. Being able to tank and heal will increase your understanding on a lot of aspects of the game that a lot of DPS players have no idea about. As a healer, you will know how important using defensives and interrupting spells is when you get to stress a lot on keeping people alive. You will notice it even more when people don't kick or use defensives since you have to work harder to keep them alive. Then remember all those times you slacked as well. As a tank, you understand better how to position yourself against frontals, cleaves, how to aim the boss away from the people, and how to appreciate aggro better. Different specs offer different perspectives, even if it's just a different flavor of another ranged DPS. Playing a less
and it's true that even if you play another, so like I've been tanking for so long now, and prior to doing what I do now, I had never tanked. If I ever went back to DPS now, I think I would actually be better at DPS than I was prior, because now I understand the tanking mechanics so well. Like I'm like, oh, okay, now he's gonna pull the boss over here, and I'll preemptively run over there, or oh, he's facing the boss this way, I'm gonna make sure I'm standing on this side because of the frontal, like different things. I think I would actually be better at DPS now than I was before I started tanking, because now I understand so much about how the tanking mechanics work.
Mobile spec will teach you
keys.
about optimizing positioning, while being more mobile will open possibilities to deal with crowd control in ways you haven't done so far. Not to mention that an obvious gain is pure game knowledge. You will know more about the specs, what cooldowns they have, how they deal damage or heal, and that will make it easier for you to team up and synergize with them efficiently. Being an alcoholic also opens up other doors for you, like the possibility of getting into groups way easier if you are a flexible player and you are having issues doing keys or getting into raid groups because you are just playing the wrong spec. Well, switching to a more desired or meta spec will alleviate some of that frustration, especially if you can also off-spec into a different role. I mean, we all know how hard it is to find a tank or a healer in the pug world. And once you acquire all of this knowledge, you will also improve on your main, whichever one that would be this month. But probably the biggest pro to playing multiple specs is the lack of boredom. People ask us if we get worn out, burned out, or simply bored of World of Warcraft, and the answer is sometimes yes, but most of the time
definitely it helps with burnout. If you're playing, like I said, sometimes playing an alt, depending on what kind of alt that is, it does feel like a different game. It feels like you're playing a new game. So if you feel burnt out but you still want to play WoW because you're a true degenerate like many of us are, you play an alt. It feels refreshing. It does feel like a new game.
That takes a long time to take root, and sometimes it doesn't even have time to manifest because we just play alts when we get bored. This is subjective and biased, sure, since we are content creators, but for real though, WoW is a fun game, and playing a character is fun, really fun. Cap or not, copium or otherwise, there's a reason WoW survived for 20 years. A reason why it was the biggest game in the world at one point. A reason why after Shadowlands and all the Blizzard conundrum occurred, it still survived. And that's because it's a fun game. And the fun never stops when
Agreed.
there's always a new spec you haven't tried, a new class to explore. And with the rate at which these changes, through reworks, talent adjustments, or simply tuning, it's happening, it's unlikely you will ever be able to go through all of them and find yourself with nothing left to do at the end. And let's not forget the warbands are coming in War Within, and this feature alone will make playing multiple specs be a breeze.
Yeah, warbands definitely do, cater to alts, but again, the way Blizzard kind of set it up is it's not required. It is just a benefit to the fact that you play an alt and you don't have to kind of redo things on them. Less time
To give you
wasting
the
with alts.
TLDR, warbands will make gear transferable from one character to another, transmogs unlocked account-wide, reputation account-wide, and many more alt-friendly features that will only grow and improve as the expansion reaches its climax. So if you do want to decide on what to play and maybe difficulty is a concern, then you have to check our easiest melee DPS tier list that we just released. There we go through all of the melee specs in War Within and rank them based on how easy they are to play for an average gamer.
Yeah, well, yeah, your boy is no average gamer, so I play the hardest one, of course. But a nice video from Marcel. Yeah, it comes down to, preferences. How do you want to play the game? What's your favorite? Do you have multiple favorite specs and classes? Then just play them all. At the end of the day, it's a game. Just remember to have fun and enjoy the expansion. It's definitely going to be an alt-friendly expansion, so if you decide to play a main or you decide to play alts, the game should cater to that.